Your brother took the money, he will not return it. The printer roared, paper scattered across the floor. I stood at the guest room door, the page in my hand soaked with sweat. Withdrawal slips lay open on the table, the handwriting familiar but not mine. $55,000 vanished as if into thin air. My brother Dorian's suitcase was gone, his clothes missing too. The picture frame was empty, the glass reflecting my pale face. A crumpled note on the bed read, "Do not look for me." I crouched, my fingers trembling, my heartbeat pounding in my ears. My 12-year-old son Oliver stood at the door silent. He wore a wrinkled Star Wars shirt, his hair sticking up. He looked at the slip in my hand, his voice calm, reporting. "Mom, I handled it," he said, like finishing homework. I looked up, his eyes cold like winter. He pulled a black phone from his pocket, the screen lighting up. On it a wanted photo of a woman named Catherine Voss. "That is the scammer, your brother's girlfriend," he said flatly. Oliver spoke like giving a report. He had accessed public records. He scrolled through data showing locations, tracking and call logs. He said he had turned everything over to the Portland police. I froze, my voice rough. "How did you do that?" He shrugged. "YouTube and Reddit have tutorials," he said. "Public records are open, you just need to know how to connect." His tone held no emotion, like explaining math. I stared at the phone in his hand, my palms turning cold. Then 3 sharp knocks hit the door, fast and firm. I went downstairs and opened it. 2 officers stood outside. They wore dark blue uniforms, caps, low voices steady. The tall detective showed his badge, speaking formally. "Selena Marlowe, we have your brother, he has been arrested. He was caught on the highway, the woman with him was Catherine Voss." I stood frozen, my head buzzing like struck metal. The detective opened a folder, photos slid onto the table. Dorian at an ATM, nervous, his face clear in the picture. Catherine close behind him, staring at the screen like a hunter. Another photo showed him signing my name inside a bank. The detective said they withdrew every cent within 48 hours. I looked down, my fingers digging into the table edge, barely standing. He continued, "Someone anonymously sent coordinates and chat records. Without that intel, they might have crossed the state line and vanished." I did not dare look at Oliver. He sat on the couch motionless. The detective smiled at him, saying, "You have a smart kid." The door shut, the house fell into dead silence. I walked toward Oliver, my voice shaking. "What did you do, child?" He looked up, eyes blank, said I could, so I did. I tried to speak, but he quietly interrupted, going to the kitchen for cereal. That moment I felt afraid of my own child for the first time. Late that night I found his letter to Dorian in the kitchen. The paper neat, the handwriting precise like a verdict. He wrote, "Forgiveness is not forgetting. You stole family money, you belong in jail. If you come back, I will finish what you started," he wrote. I read it 3 times, my hands trembling, my chest tightening like a noose. That was not a child's letter, that was judgment and execution. I folded it back into place, my heart turning cold. 3 days later the hospital called. Dorian was beaten by inmates. The nurse said he wanted to see me, her voice apologetic. I drove through the night, lights stabbing through the windshield. Oliver, already dressed, sat silent in the back seat. The hospital hallway was freezing, the walls pale under harsh lights. Dorian lay in bed, bruises dark around his neck. He looked at me, his eyes wide with fear. His voice rasped. "Selena, watch your son," he whispered. I frowned. "What are you talking about?" he gasped. "He knows everything. Catherine told me that kid can read, people can predict." His words broke off as my mother burst in crying. She grabbed Dorian's hand, looked at me. "Do not believe him." She pulled me toward the door, forcing me to leave. Oliver stood there expressionless like a statue. Behind me Dorian screamed hoarsely, "Watch your son, Selena, watch him." The parking lot lights glared. My mother's hand shook in mine. She said, "Your brother always lied." I nodded, speechless. The next morning the phone rang, a woman's voice, cold and harsh. "I know who ratted us out," she said. I froze. "Who are you?" She laughed. "You think you are safe? I can destroy your life." Oliver snatched the phone, pressed it to his ear, voice calm. "If you really knew, you would not have called," he said. He hung up, face steady as if finishing a task. I asked, "How do you know it was her?" He said, "Who else?" He turned upstairs, leaving the faint hum of the phone behind. I looked at the letter on the table, realizing the plan was complete. That night he sat at the table drawing a chessboard, neat squares, a pawn turning queen. In the corner a single king. He said, "This is the endgame, the mother's pawn advances." I asked, "What are you drawing?" He smiled. The king never thought he would be trapped. My throat tightened. I said, "You need therapy." He quietly agreed. He said, "Sure, I will go. I will say what they want to hear." I shook my head, hoping he could just be a child again. He stared deep and said, "As long as no one threatens us, I can." The tone was not promise, it was condition, cold and frightening. I walked to the safe, locked the letter inside, the click heavy in the air. I told myself it was protection and defense. Protecting the world from my child's control. The next morning he hummed, washing dishes, sunlight glinting on his hair. That morning I got word from the prison. Dorian moved to medical watch. Oliver upstairs setting alarms for school like nothing changed. He hummed the same tune, fragments, sweet, harmless. I stood by the window watching neighbors walking dogs, kids waiting for buses. Everything looked calm, as if nothing had ever cracked. I wondered what part one played in this game, mother or pawn. I could no longer tell my role on the board. 3 weeks later the money was returned, Catherine extradited out of the country. Life on paper looked orderly, balance restored, relief settling in. Oliver went to school, did homework, played games, helped me fold laundry weekends. My mother came for breakfast Saturdays, praising his brilliance and manners. She said God has a plan for him. I smiled, pouring coffee. But inside I felt a chill beneath that smile, a distance forming. That morning the smell of pancakes woke me, the sound of a pan from the kitchen. Oliver stood at the stove flipping pancakes. "Mom, breakfast is ready," his voice calm. My mother sat at the table, calling him an angel. I watched him pass the butter. He looked up, his eyes bright and clear with a small smile. In that instant I saw calculation, familiar, precise. Not malice but control, steady, deliberate control. He knew rhythm, he knew our reactions, everything timed to his beat. I took a bite of the pancake, the taste like ash, emotions flooding. Outside the Portland streets shone with morning light, birds singing, air soft. I sat at the table smiling, whispering silent protection to myself. Some truths are best buried to keep them from being used or exposed. Because sometimes the scariest monster is not the enemy outside. It is the child we raised ourselves. The scariest monster is the one we raised.